Hi everyone, myself Dr. Lakshmi Prasad, working as an associate professor in the Department of Data Science in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. In this video, I'm going to discuss about data structures in R programming. So before going to see that, so you have to know the term cohesion. So cohesion is nothing but all the elements of the vectors must be same type, so that we have to be attempt to combine different data types that will be coerced to more flexible type. So the types from the least to most flexible should be logical, integer, and numeric, and then character. Okay. So all the elements in the vector should be of the same type, so that what we have to make an attempt that should be combined with different types, and there will be coerced to more flexible type. And normally the hierarchy should be that we have to be logical to integers, and from integer to numeric, and numeric to character. So when logical vector is going to be coerced to an integer, so double true becomes 1 and false becomes 0. So how can we able to do that means, so we have to create a vector of false false and then true, which should be make it as a numeric. So I have to convert it as dot numeric of x. So the total number of truths I can able to find by make use of the sum of x function. So that should be proportion that should be true, and mean I can able to find out true mean of x. So here we're going to have different tabs. How can able to do that? See, means by make use of this as dot numeric of function. So by make use of this function, we can able to do can able to apply the sum as well as mean. Next one is data structures in R. So some of the data structures in R will be vector. So this should be the basic one-dimensional data structure in R, which should be called as a vector. And list is nothing but generic vectors, so which can able to contain any type of data type or any kind of data structure. And next one is that matrix. So matrix is nothing but basic two-dimensional data structure in R. And some other will be there. So very first thing you have to know that should be vector. So vector is nothing but it should be one dimensional data structure. So it should be created by making use of this C function. So it should be also called as concatenation function. And next one is that list. So list is nothing but generic vectors, so which can contain any data type and any data structure. So list is going to have one should be variable number, numeric, character, and complex as well. And matrix should be a two-dimensional data structure in R. So where we can able to store the values in column wise, and have to mention this dimension. So by make use of dimension attribute, and have to specify how many number of rows by the attribute number of rows, and by specifying the columns it should be columns. Okay, so notice that, so where the variable with a single value is known as scalar, so in R a scalar is a vector of the length 1. And next one is factor. So factor is nothing but it is also a vector, so that contains only the predefined values and is going to be stored as the categorical data. And data frame is nothing but, so the data frame is a list of equal length vectors, so it should also make a two-dimensional data two-dimensional structure, so where able to share the properties of matrix and then list. And array is nothing but an n-dimensional data structure, so where matrix is a special case of array of two dimensions. So some other data structures, what I'm going to say that is the factor. So factor is nothing but a vector which is going to contain only predefined values, and it can also be stored as the categorical data. And data frame is nothing but a equal length, a list of equal length vectors, so we should also make a two-dimensional structure. An array should be n-dimensional structure where we can able to make a special case of array of two dimensions. And next one is vectors. So vectors, how can able to do that? So in order to create a vectors, we have to make use of this concatenation function. So let us see the example. So I'm going to create a numerical variable vector. So by make use of the C function, so what we call it as a concatenation function. And if I'm going to specify a L suffix to an integer, then it, rather than a double, then how can able to do that is we can able to mention L. So it should be an integer. Suppose if I want to represent an integer like 10, I want to convert it into integer, then I have to mention it as 10 in our programming. And similarly, if I'm going to use boolean values like true or false, and shorthand I can able to write T and F also to create the logical vectors. Uh, Here the logical variable I'm created. So by the use of the C function, I'm going to create a logical vector values true, true, false, false, and so by the use of this uh, double and single notation, you can able to create a vector, character vector. So character variable, and by the use of C function, I'm going to create the character vector. So normally I can able to create a characters by make use of the single quotations as well as the double quotations in our programming. So vectors can also be created by make use of this sequence or this scan function as well. So how the vectors are going to be created means, suppose the vectors are going to be created by make use of this concatenation function, what we can able to call it as a C of function. So first of all, you have to create a numeric vector. How can able to do that means C of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose if I want to create an integer vector, I have to specify L as the suffix to the number so that it can able to treat it as an integer vector. And next one is that logical vector. So how can the logical vector means, so as the logical value should be either true or false, by make use of that, so I can able to create the vector, and then for creating a character vector, so I have to make use of this character function, C function. And so how can able to name this vector? So can able to see now. So first of all, we have to be assign the names directly. Okay, then how can able to do that is, so x is the variable and C of the function. So in C of function, so I'm going to create the names like Monday equal to Tuesday equal to and Wednesday equal to. So like this I can able to assign the names directly to the values. Suppose if I'm going to create marks, C of max equal to then science equal to graphics equal to. So like this, I can able to assign directly values to the I can able to assign directly names to the values directly. And another way is that, so by make use of this names function also I can able to do that. So I can able to do that means, so I make use of names of x function. So initially I'm going to create these values, okay, and by make use of this names function, I create a vector. So max, science, and graphics. So like this, I can able to create the names by make use of name function. And another way of doing this means by make use of this set names function as well. So how can able to do that means, so x, so set names 1 2 3, 1 is to 3, and C ABC, C of vector ABC, ABC. So how can able to do this means, mm, So marks, set names. So 38, 37, 33, and C of marks, signs, and ranks. So like this, I can able to set the names to the vector values either directly or can be able to make use of this names function, and also I can able to make use of this set name function. Okay, so one is through directly and another is through names function and then set names function. Then vector subsetting. So in this one, so x equal to c of vectors values are created. Then names of x I'm going to assign as C on the vector. Ajay, how many marks in max social? Ravi in max, John in max, Anjali in max, and then come x. So how can I able to set right these values? So x of 2, then I can also x I can able to specify x of 2 based on index value I can able to specify. I can able to specify by make use of subsetting. So what should be the starting value, ending value, x of 5 and x of 7 like this. So here x of n should be the nth vector of the nth element of the vector, so which can hold the values only 6 elements, so that x of 7 is not available. And x of Ajay, xc of Ravi, and then Narmada. So how can able to select these names here? And list in or, so the lists are the different vectors, somewhat different, so which can able to hold different values. Okay, so one may be an numeric, and there may be an integer, and there may be a character, and there may be a complex. So that kind of whole values should be held by the list. So list should be somewhat different from vectors, where their elements can be of the type which including the list. So I will going to construct this list by make use of either list function, or I can able to make use of CR function. So x is equal to a list of, I'm going to generate the values from 1 to 4, as well as it can hold a number, sorry, it can hold a character, and it should also generate a vector of logical values, and it should also hold a vector of integer value, decimal values as well. Okay, so like this I can able to generate or create the list of values by making the list and then cm function. And list subsetting means, how can able to access that means based on the square bracket, single square bracket. So if I'm going to use the double square bracket, then I can able to uh, access the matrix elements. So by calling the dollar, you can able to specify the usernames as well. Suppose if this in this one, so this is the x value, and if it is x of 1 is going to have this one. So I can able to access this means by make use of the subscript what I'm going to specify. And in order to make double script also, I can able to access the list element, where in case of matrix. See the matrix, how can able to access that means, so this is the matrix, so these are the index values. So how can able to access this? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So how can I able to access this particular value means, if the x means, so x of 3 comma 3. So like this I can able to access this particular value. How can I able to access this? So x of second row and then second column. So in order to create a matrix, first of all, first you have to use the matrix function, which is going to generate the values, starting sequence of values, and you have to mention this, what should be the rows, number of rows, and the number of columns. You have to mention it. How this values is going to be generated means, so in column wise. Okay, so what should be the alternative way means that simply you have to specify the range of values, and then you have to mention 3 comma 3, that means the number of rows equal to 3 and number of columns equal to 3. And next one, in order to create the matrix by row means, So z is equal to matrix of, I have to generate the sequence of values and number of rows is this and number of column is this. So by row it is making as true means that so these values are going to be stored in row wise. Okay, we can able to generate this value by setting this as by row as true, then only it should be possible, otherwise it should be uh, stored in column wise only. So by default, if it should be false, so the matrix is going to be created by column only. So create the sequence of values and by row it should be true and number of rows equal to 3. So like this we have to be create the matrix in our programming by make use of this matrix of function and number of rows, n row, n column and by row by make use of these attributes. So in order to create a matrix by C bind of method, so how can able to do that means so one one set of vector and this should be another vector, second vector and third vector. So by make use of this C bind method, I can able to combine all these vectors 1, 2, 3. So this is the one vector. So 1, 0, 0 column wise 0, 1, 0 and 0, 0, 1. So by make use of the C bind method, I can able to combine or concatenate all the three single individual vectors as one of the columns of the matrix as well. And similarly, if I want to create the row bind of method, so row bind or bind means row bind. So then I can able to insert a single vector as row wise. Right, so like this we can able to generate the sequence, we can able to generate the matrices in our program. So I can able to assign the values to the columns and rows of the matrix. So for that also I can able to make use of the C bind function. uh, C bind, so we can able to create a, we have to combine the vector three vectors here and I have to specify the column names. So how can able to assign the names, right? So how can able to specify the columns names and row names means we have attribute like call names of x and then row names of x. So here if I'm going to write column names of x, so the column names of the matrix will be January, February, March, and the row names what I'm going to be do that is product 1, product 2 and product 3. So this is the initial column names and row names of the matrix. So in this one what should be the first vector, since I'm going to assign as the C bind, so the value should be 978, 85, 95. Here February means 99, 91, 85. March means 67, 62 and 63. So like this I can able to create the matrix by make use of this C bind method and row names, sorry, column names, and this should be row names function. So some other useful commands that is going to be used in matrix in our programming is that so dim of x. So dim of x means I can able to know what should be the dimensions of the matrix, what is the header of the matrix, number of rows of the matrix, number of columns of the matrix, attributes of the matrix, row sums and column sums. So these are the additional commands we can able to see in our programming that should be useful. Suppose if I want to know this, what should be the dimension of the matrix, I can able to try dimension of x. So what should be the headers of the matrix x and how many number of rows in that matrix particularly I want to know, a number of columns I want to know, and row sum values and column sum values. Like this I can able to find out the values of the matrix. And matrix subsetting, so in order to find the subset submatrices of the matrix, so first of all you have to create a matrix here. So what should be all the values, so 1, so number of rows equal to 2 and number of columns equal to 3. So here x of 1 comma 2, if I'm going to specify, so I can able to write element of first row and second column of the single element. So x of, so this is the x matrix. So x of 1 comma 2 means what is the value I'm getting. So first row and second column, this one is going to get here. Suppose if I'm going to specify x comma 2 something, so I can able to get, I'm able to get the values 2 4 6. If I'm going to write 1, only column 1, so 1 2. So like this, I can able to extract the some part of the values of the matrix as well in our programming by make use of this indexes. So in order to find the submatrices of the given matrix, so by default the single element of the matrix is going to be literal, and which is going to be written as the vector length of the size 1 by 1 matrix. So in order to change the behavior turned off, so I have to make the setting as drop false. So x of 1 comma 2 single element. So x of 1 comma 2 comma drop equal to false means the matrix of only one row and first column should only be appear. So that is the extra feature that is going to be added in matrix subsetting. Okay. So by making this one as false, then I can able to extract only the first row and the first column. To find this submatrices of the given matrix, so by making use of the C bind also I can able to extract it. So C bind of this is the one vector, another vector, and this is another vector. So in all this, if I'm going to write, so x of 1 comma 2, what is the value, 2 is comma 3, and so I can able to find it out. So by making use of this indexing also, I can able to extract the vectors that is possible in matrix subsetting by making use of the cbind function. So based on indexing also, I can able to access it. And next one is the factors. So in our, so normally these are going to be used to hold the categorical variables. So there is ones that are nominal and ordered category values. So for example, if I'm going to write male and female, so then it should be nominal categorical. If I'm going to write low, medium, high, then it should be ordinal categorical. Okay, so like this we can able to categorize the variables. So what type of variable it is, so whether it may be nominal categorical or it may be it is ordinal categorical. Nominal, and this one is ordinal. So to create a factor in R, we can able to make use of this factor of function. And in this factor of function, so I can able to write generate vector, gender vector, sorry. So in gender vector, I'm going to write a create a vector, and factor gender vector, I'm going to write it as factor gender vector. Then I can able to do that. So in order to change the levels of the factor, so if I'm going to write levels of factor of gender, so what is the common one, female? So female is going to be presented as F, and male is going to be presented as M. So whatever this words that are repeating, that is going to be eliminated by applying these levels. So some other useful command that is going to apply is that, so summary factor of gender and table factor of gender. So summary of this one I can able to extract, and that can also get the table of form of the factor. And next form is the data frames. So data frame is the most common way of storing data in R. If I'm going to be used systematically, then that should be an error analysis, but also make the data analysis easier. So it should be somewhat similar to the tables and databases and data set in Excel. So it consists of the columns of the different tabs, more general than a matrix, and column variables and row observations. So the convenient to hold all the data required for the data analysis. So they are represented as a special tab of the list where every element of the list have same length. And so the data frames also have the same attribute called row dot names. Okay, so the data frame should be the most common way of storing data in R, and if it is going to be used systematically, makes the data analysis easier. So it should be somewhat similar to the tables, and it also consists of the different tabs as column names as rows and variables, and the rows as observations. So the convenient way to hold is all the data required in the data analysis. So the data frame should also have the special attribute for row names and column names. And these data frames are well and the table like a spreadsheet in the program, and in data frames where the variables typically in columns and the cases in the rows. So the columns can have a mixed type of data, and some contain the numeric and contain the text. So if all the columns it contains only the character or numeric data, so then the data also be saved in the matrix. Okay, so in data frames, the variable should be of typically in columns and rows in cases in rows. So all the columns have the mixed type of data. Some are able to contain the numeric and someone may contain the text. So if the column would contain only the character or numerical data, then the data can be saved in the matrix itself. So how can able to create a data frame? So df is the variable, so data dot frame, and I can able to generate the sequence of values from 1 to 3, and these are the column names I'm going to specify. Suppose if I want to find the height, so example 2 is so height of weight name and date. So data dot frame, so I can able to combine all this one as height, weight and name. This should be the table. Names is that Anil, Ankit, and so on. So this should be the table. So initially I'm going to create a height vector here and weight vector here and names vector here. Okay. So what I'm going to do that is initially I'm going to be take all these vectors, and I have to take I have to assign the names to the vectors also. So by make use of this data frame function, I'm going to create a data frame of name, height, and then weight. So in order to combine the data frames in our, so how to make use of cbind method. So df is equal to data dot frame of x1 is to 3. So I'm going to create the vector. So how can able to do this cbind function to the data frame? So how can able to write, so cbind of, so variable name and data frame of z3 is to 1. Similarly, by how can able to use rbind method. So rbind of, so right, so rbind of df comma data frame. So I can able to pass this the data frame as the parameter to the cbind as well as the rbind also, row wise and then column wise. And next one is data type conversion. So here I can able to convert the data type. So for this we are going to have some of the examples like is numerical function and is character of function. So suppose I want to x is equal to 10. I want to convert it into a character, so I can able to write it as character of x. Similarly, if I want to convert it into matrix, so is matrix of x, which should be of one by one, so one row and one column. Like this, I can able to make use of. So these are the some of the function: is vector, is matrix, is data frame, as numeric, as character, as vector, as matrix, as data frame. Okay. Like this, we're going to be generate functions, so convert from one type of the data to the other type of data as well. So these are the some of the functions of that. Then handling of missing values. So can able to do that. Suppose if I'm going to have created a vector, and how can able to remove these values? So we can have a function like main of x to n dot rm. So by making use of this n dot rm, so where this value is going to be true, then I can able to remove it. Similarly, if I want to check the location of missing values with vector, I can able to use of NA of x. And to assign the large number, so I can able to write, so which of is dot NA of x is larger than 990. So like this, I can able to handle the missing values. And how can able to identify the missing values? So by making use of this is dot NA of function. To remove this bad, so I can able to write. So in handling of missing values, if the data frame is having like this, so this is one vector and this is another vector. So in order to take the subset of the data frame with no missing value, so I can able to do that. So complete dot cases of x comma y, that should be the best one. Or I can able to try to take the subset of vector with no missing value. I can able to write x of good. In order to take this subset of vector y with no missing value, I'm trying y of good. Okay, so complete dot cases of x of y is going to be take the subset of data with no missing value. From this, we can able to apply this x of y of values and x of y of good. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.